Okay, we are recording another Build a Better Brand chat. I'm here with Brooke, and I'm so excited to have you chat all about systems and processes and the importance of having those in your business and how life-changing that can be. Brooke is the other half of QK. So this is extra exciting for me because you have completely come in and transformed my business. And so I'm just so happy to have you kind of peeling back the curtain and have everyone meet you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's
Yes,
exciting to be
so
here.
let's dive in. Why don't you just introduce yourself, what you do on Team QK, and then how you ended up in the creative world?
Well,
I know that's a loaded question.
that's a lot. I do a lot. I do all the things that you don't have time to do and that you don't want to do.
It's true.
Let's see. I manage and create systems for QK internally, as well as some client-facing ones for you via HoneyBook. I do Asana management and reminders. A little bit of Dropbox maintenance recently. We took that on. HoneyBook maintenance workflows, client communication, onboarding and offboarding for QK. Internal design, including social media templates for Instagram, including stories and posts, Pinterest pins, and their new, I think they're calling them Pinterest or idea pins or something like that. They changed the name. As well as Tailwind scheduling, videography. I do a little bit of that. That's fun. Miscellaneous design and template stuff for QK that Katie needs. Website maintenance for QK. I create new blog posts, new pages, any backend stuff that needs fixing. And actually, I've done, the brand reveals, updating your portfolio.
That honestly is so much, and I know
I'm not even done. I'm not done.
Okay, continue.
For websites that QK designs, I go in and I do website checks for mobile.
Yes.
I'll click links and make sure that everything is set up right and drop in content, whether that be copy that the client sends over for QK to put in, or photos, dropping those images in. I also help a little bit with the semi-custom brands on the Canva side of designing those. That was it.
How did you end up in the creative world? How did you end up in this world of being a business manager?
To be honest, I started out in the creative world as a child.
Me too, girl.
Always loved art, was self-taught through high school, or through all school, I guess.
Okay, but you were homeschooled through until high school?
I was homeschooled through 10th grade.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was self-taught in art.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
self-taught. My mom bought me art books, and I think I had mentioned to you before, I have artistic abilities that come from both sides of our family.
Yes.
And so it's really something that I'm passionate about and I love to do. And then I went to public school for my junior and senior years of high school. And I had a really great art professor who took me under his wing, or not art professor, art teacher. And then when I went to college, I had really great art professors, and it just, further developed my skills. And then, I got a job in corporate world that was like 0% creative. Their idea of creativity was coming up with new macros for spreadsheets. So there's lots of different types of creativity out there. But once I, gave birth to my first son, I knew I wanted to work from home and raise my babies and, be the, not miss all those precious moments.
Yeah.
Because I had to go and work at a 9 to 5. And so I heard about, working as a VA and starting your own online freelancing business. And I knew that this would also be an opportunity for me to utilize my creativity, as well as my, organizational and systematic and planning processes. I used to work the job I left was I was a planning support analyst for an electronic company.
Okay,
That
I
sounds fun,
love
right?
it. Doesn't sound fun to me, but I
No.
love that you
Well,
are using your skill set to create this
mhm,
new position for yourself. Like, I just think
yeah,
that is absolutely incredible
it
to,
really helped round out both sides.
yeah,
I mean, I went to college for my major is in business administration, and I have a double minor in fine art and communication arts. And so it just, I really, without really intentionally doing so, developed both sides of, you know, in a way, both sides of the brain.
yeah,
And so I got into this industry by starting my VA business. And just kind of took off from there. And I didn't even start out with a portfolio. I just knew I had the ability. I played around in Canva, and my first client, um, honestly, she liked my website, which compared to the one that I have now, didn't look that great, but it was still good. Like she saw potential there, and that is how I kind of got started, and just it's kind of taken off from there. And
so amazing. I love hearing those stories because a lot of us creatives fall into it a little backwards. And it's just amazing to hear your path and how you've gotten to where you are. And we started out small together,
yeah.
and we've been together for about a year now.
Hmm.
But I brought Brooke on when I was just at this point in business. I had a mindset of like, I was always just going to be a solopreneur, which is just one person working on the team. And I thought that's how it was going to be forever. And I got to this point where I was super unhappy in my business. And that realization when you're creating your own business is really hard and sad, to realize that you have complete control over the decisions that you're making, what you're saying yes and no to. But it's also a powerful realization to say, okay, I don't like what's happening here. I was working weekends, often 10-hour days, multiple days per week. And although my business was growing, I was becoming increasingly unhappy with the work that I was on my plate because I was thinking I had to do everything, handle everything, not open to the idea of help. And that's when I was like, okay, like let's take the power back and make a change here. So then you entered, and we just started really small. Yes, and it was that life changing. We just started small, and I started thinking like, okay, what if I was open to the idea of bringing on one person? Like, what if I just handed a few things off? And I think that is probably really relatable to a lot of business owners, which we can
Hmm.
get into the mindset shifts later. But let's just talk about like actually coming to that decision, how you can find someone, and what to start off with handing off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, especially in our society right now, there's a lot of talk about, being able to do it all yourself. As a woman, as an entrepreneur,
Yeah,
there's a lot of, you know, you're boss lady, you could do it. And you really, we do a lot, and it feels like everything, but we can't do everything by ourselves all the time. And
right.
so as wonderful it is for us to feel empowered as women, it's more empowering, in my opinion, to be able to admit when you need help,
Yes.
when you can't do it all yourself, and to be willing to admit that, we need, like, I need help. I need somebody to take this weight off my shoulders and just hand it off. And I think that really needs to be more normalized, especially in the entrepreneurial world and in the creative world.
So if you're looking to hire on a VA or a business manager, a lot of people get stuck on where to even start. So how do you go about finding someone that does what you do?
One of the best places is honestly to go to Facebook groups
Okay.
and to become, at least in my experience, that is the best place to go. That's the best place for me to have found clients, is going to Facebook groups for entrepreneurs, for women entrepreneurs, and either posting or looking through some of the comments, searching for, someone else who perhaps has looked for a VA, or an OBM, or a virtual business manager, and see, just taking time to do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
You can try a Google search, but a lot of times what comes up is the big um, agencies.
Right.
Like, oh, VA, which, not to put those down at all, but sometimes it's a little bit more general than what you might want. If you want a
Yeah.
personal, long-term relationship with an individual, then Facebook groups is one of the best places to go. Other than that, word of mouth and referrals, which is how you and I got connected. You had a referral from actually my first client, who we're still working together.
So I found you through Sarah, and that's the way I went about hiring. Is I didn't want to post anything. I really was looking for someone who I could have a personal relationship with, and I wasn't necessarily looking for someone with like a certain level of skill sets or whatever, because I didn't even know what the position was going to look like. I was really looking for like a work ethic and a certain type of personality. And
Yes.
so I think a lot of the times people get stuck on like, well, they need to be able to do this, 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 and this. And it's like a lot of the times the personality and work ethic is more important. And as long as they have like a figure it out type of skill set, you and I have been able to figure things out together. And we problem solve together. So my next question is that people often ask me is, okay, how do you structure this? Like, why do we have you doing the things that you're doing? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? So there's a million different ways to set up working internally in your business, right? So I was never working internally before you came on. I was only designing and doing bare minimum to get by. So that's where I felt like I'm really missing a huge opportunity. And so that's why Brooke does all of the QK internal work, because I would sit down to do QK internal work and it would take me all day because of my perfectionism of designing. And I'm like, I just need someone to hop in here, hop and get these templates done and put those into action. So I'm sure that you, with your other clients, it's structured a bit differently. So I would love it if you could kind of touch on that so that people know the different options of how you can structure this position and this relationship to make it work best for you.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can structure working with a VA or an online business manager, and it depends on which one it is, what roles you're assigning. If you're looking for a virtual office manager or an online business manager or a project systems person, you're going to be handing off a lot of overseeing type tasks. Those aren't, a VA is doing more of the doing stuff. Yeah. They're doing a lot of the, step-by-step things that are important and that take a lot of time. And by taking on a manager or a systems coordinator, you're handing off a lot of the overseeing, a lot of the, or even training. I do training for one of my other clients. I'm in the process of doing it right now. But that in itself takes a lot of time off of you as the business owner, and helps you to sit in your zone of genius. And you didn't start your business because you wanted to do all of these extra little things and working, on your business. That's not necessarily, it's necessary, especially when you're starting out as a solopreneur. It's stuff that's necessary. But as you grow and your vision grows, you want to focus in on what you really love and enjoy to do.
Right.
Me, I actually enjoy doing all the systems.
Which is why we are such a good match, because I only want to design in my business, although I've realized the further that I get, that is not realistic. There is the further I get, the more I realize I need to do this higher level thinking. I need to strategize for myself and plan marketing and launches and all these things to be successful. And I can design some, but most of my days I actually don't spend designing. And that was a huge wake up call. So before you came into the business, I was spending probably like 5 hours designing and 5 hours doing this other stuff and reinventing the wheel a million different times, because to me, systems and processes did not feel creative And now that we're a year after creating those, I'm like, I have way more time to be creative because of these amazing systems and processes. But I think for a lot of creatives, it's like, well, I can't spend my time doing this non-creative thing because it's just like my brain doesn't work like that. So hiring someone who is opposite of you is really smart. And Brooke is really creative as well. She's also an artist. So we're a little bit of kindred spirits in that way, but you really do have that other side of the business down as far as like looking at it as a whole and creating the system. So
I like to look at it like a puzzle.
yes.
It's the same way with art. Art is, I mean, you look at it as a whole, but while you're in the process of either designing or artwork, all of the pieces are pieces to the big picture and the puzzle.
Right.
I look at systems and organization and design and creativity in the same way. It's all a puzzle piece and they all fit together to create the overall vision.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when you came on, I had all of the processes in my head. Like there were processes, I had nothing written down. So how do you go about, like, what do you recommend for business owners that they're literally starting from scratch? What should their first step be? Maybe they want to hire down the line a little bit. What should they be doing now to prep for this next step of working with a business manager or a VA?
SOPs.
Okay, now tell us what SOPs are, because the first time I heard SOPs, I was like, and that is
Heck. Standard operating procedures.
Okay.
Which is essentially the procedures and the systems and the processes that you do on a daily basis for all the things for your business. And it sounds super overwhelming and super technical, and I totally get that. But if you break down systems, routines, processes, if you break it down to their simplest form, it's a habit.
Okay.
Systems and routines are habits. That's all it is. Now, simplicity and ease are not the same thing. It is not easy. It is not easy to develop a habit. It is not a good habit. It's not easy to develop good habits, and it's not easy to create good systems, but it's simple when you break it down. And the best way that I can explain to start an SOP, especially to new business owners who are just getting started, is to just write down the steps. Perhaps write out the categories of the things that you need to do in your business each day, week, or month. And then step by step, the things that they do on a daily basis. And now that's going to look different, though, if they bring someone on. If they're just starting out as a solopreneur, it's going to be really important to recognize that the system that you have for yourself as an individual may not be, team friendly. And so those are going to have to change, and there's going to be a learning curve. And, but having those initial standard procedures and systems at least written down is going to better enable business owners to be able to look through and say, okay, this is something that I need to do. This is something that I need to do, and no one else can really take it over right now. But then here's these other things over here that are taking up a lot of my time that I shouldn't be spending all this time on, that someone else perhaps can. And then even try to figure out, okay, how much time is this going to add back into my schedule to then spend doing what I enjoy and making more money.
Right. Yeah. And so what I did is I took months to get to the place where I was like confident and ready to hire. And I had a lot of mentors help me with that step. And it's really just like journaling through where you don't want to spend your time and where you have to spend your time, and then where the revenue is. So there's some things I still do that I don't love doing, but it's like necessary for me to do the sales process, the initial touch points, meeting the business owners. And that's still uncomfortable for me. It's something where I still need to grow, but it's essential to move the needle forward for me and be the initial touch point. And that's going to look different for every business, no matter how it's structured. But what I did for our workflows was I got mini sticky notes, and I started like moving things around. I'm like, okay, where do I need to be? And what I loved that you did when you took over onboarding and offboarding, which we recently changed, which is so exciting, is you took and made it so visual for my brain with the workflow. And I could literally see where my picture was, and it was only a few spots, and then you were in the rest of the spots. And that was so helpful for my creative brain to like see visually how it was working. Whereas workflows have always been something like up here that I couldn't quite grasp. So that was like life changing. And now I feel like we have SOPs for pretty much everything that we
Mhm.
do. And one of the things I was self-sabotaging was I was changing, like when you first came on, I would kept changing like the system. And I realized I was like, I am totally screwing us over unintentionally by changing the way I'm doing things all the time.
Yeah.
And I think you really helped me realize that. Like when you bring a team member on, you can't reinvent the wheel every time. There has to be a process so that in the future, if I bring someone else on, there's a process.
Yes, there's a process, and you do have to allow time in
Yes.
order to experiment and see if something is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of me, when I was just a VA, now I'm a virtual office manager. But starting out, and still even now, I offer short retainers, 3 months, and I'll even do sometimes a 1 month one. I've done a few of those before, where it's like a trial, and you see if you can work well together, how things go. And specifically, you were talking about how to find somebody who can design well and adapt well into a creative business. Sometimes a good thing to do is paid trial, or give them, ask them to create templates based off of, your Instagram or your website,
Yeah.
and, how they would design something for you, and then pay
Yeah.
them for those, whatever their asking rate is or whatever, and pay them for that time and for those templates, even if they don't turn out the way you like or exactly the way that you might do them. If you see potential there for growth, then, that's a sign that maybe this person would be good to work with,
Yeah.
and just testing out the waters a little bit.
I think that's one of the biggest things that brand designers worry about when bringing someone onto their business. They think that they need to be designing everything internally for their business themselves. I am the largest fan of templates. Design a round of templates. Find someone who has a design eye that can
Mhm.
just recreate that for you, which is what we really like hit a stride with of here's
Mhm.
my look, here's my brand standards. It doesn't necessarily need to be a junior designer that you're hiring on first. And that was the thing I was stuck on. I'm like, okay, I have a lot of design work, but I want to be tackling the design work.
Mhm.
Shouldn't I be hiring a junior designer? Like, I'm a brand designer, that's the business. But I actually needed someone to do everything else so that
Yeah.
I could put my time in the design work, bring on more clients, get them through the pipeline faster is really what has been a huge difference maker, and
Mhm.
find someone that could help me with client experience and systems and processes. So that's one of the main questions. I think designers get caught up in having everything expertly, perfectly designed internally. And yes, it needs to meet the brand standards, but you don't need to touch everything yourself.
No.
It's about trusting the person you hire, and you gain that trust over time working
Yes.
together, which is what I found. You really helped me loosen the grip by talking
Mhm.
me through things on Voxer. Like we even talked the other day about having you jump into client communication and like what a big step that was for me, and having someone else on my emails. Like that was a big decision, and we chatted about it. It was like it's normal to have help in your business and have someone else picking up the slack where you're not always going to be able to do that. And I just loved what you had to say about that.
I think it's really important for business owners to start normalizing having help in their business. Yeah, we feel guilty by thinking that, we need to do it all ourselves, and we make ourselves feel small. It feels safer to do it all ourselves and to have that control, and have everything be exactly the way we want it. And it makes us miserable because you're spending, like you said, half of your 10-hour workday doing all the things instead of why you started your business in the first place. And in addition, by it, we somehow feel like it makes us a failure. I feel like some people feel like it means that, they're not doing good enough. They need somebody to help them do better. And I mean, you do need someone to help you do better, but that doesn't mean you're a failure.
So true.
It means that you are growing into the role that you wanted for yourself,
Right.
and you get to expand on that. And as you continue to grow, you might even need to reach out for more help through through like a business coach, and having somebody really help you with that vision that you're trying um, to create.
So, one of the big decisions that I was trying to walk through recently that we chatted about is whether or not to introduce a team member on client communication things. And I think a lot of business owners that are used to living in the solopreneur world have a really hard time with this, of letting go, of introducing someone new, and how their clients will potentially react to this. And we ended up just doing it slowly but surely. But you dropped some absolute amazingness on our Voxer chat about like, no trust that I already have established with my clients. So please share this knowledge with us.
It really should. Oh, sorry, thunder.
That's okay.
It really should be more normalized in having help in small businesses, because your clients know, like, and trust us, or our clients know, like, and trust us as entrepreneurs. So
Right.
because they know, like, and trust you, they if they are your ideal clients, they are by default should be able to know, like, and trust the people that you trust to work for you and your
Yes.
business.
Yes.
And so, it's just a matter of, and not everyone will, but then again, are you catering to the right people?
Right.
Is that person, or are these people your ideal clients? And because they trust you, they should trust that you have the um that you care about them enough, that client care experience again, you know um that you are going to only work with people who are going to deliver the high level of service that you would approve of.
Right.
So I think
Yeah, that was so game changing for me to hear. I think you put it in the way of like, when you go work with another business, would it bother you to have contact with one of their team members?
yeah, like, I mean, you go to a mom and pop shop, or
Right.
a brick and mortar business, you expect for there to be more than one person usually,
Right.
because that's a business. Just because this is a virtual business, and it started out as one person, doesn't mean that they can't add on more people.
Right. And I think that was really that's what pushed me over the edge, because I started thinking in terms of, okay, when I work with someone, when I have multiple people caring for me on my project and checking in on me, I feel like, wow, they are really going above and beyond to make sure that I am taken care of. All of my questions are met. I always have a point of contact, even, like multiple people. And to me, I'm impressed with that. It's not something where I'm turned off by that. And
Yeah.
so I think for me, it was like an easy yes to introduce you, to talk about you more, to give you more credit. That's so important to me on my team, is to like, I'm not going to take credit for something I'm not doing. I don't know anything about systems and processes. For me to come on here and say that I do would be absolutely ridiculous.
Here's the thing, though. And I mean, there are people who are better at some things than others, for sure. But I think it's really important to consider the fact that if you tell yourself that you're not good at systems, guess what?
I'm going to continue to be horrible at them.
Because again, systems are habits.
Yes, and I feel like if I really do think about it, I had systems created. I just was not being intentional about it. And
Mhm.
so I think just realizing though that that is the place where I really wanted someone else to come in and
Yeah.
overhaul so that I could do what I love most. That's the takeaway here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be systems and processes. Maybe you need a junior designer to come in and help
Mhm.
you and take those things off of your plate that you don't like in the design. I personally I spend pretty much all day thinking about design, so it didn't make sense for me to do that at the point that I'm
Yeah.
at. But maybe sometime down the line it would. So it's just being
Yeah.
open to the idea of letting help in. That is like a big takeaway from my personal experience and from the people that I chat with.
Yeah. And again, the systems that you have or that you had starting is just yourself. They will change when you bring on a team,
Yeah,
and
it's so
and
true.
again, same with habits. I mean, think of it this way. Your morning routine. You have a morning routine that's just for you, right? You wake up, maybe you get coffee, maybe you like wash your face and put on your face cream.
Yes.
And then your husband has his own routine. And then you have your morning routine together.
It's
It's
not going well. It's not going well with two of us in the same bathroom, I can tell you that.
right. So you do have a morning routine probably with him, but it's not in the bath. Like he's not gonna brush your teeth for you, and he's not gonna smooth your face cream on your cheeks. Like
Right,
that's something you do yourself. And then and your morning routine, as a single woman was different than your morning routine now, that you have a husband.
right, and then add
And
kids into
so
the mix, and you're really gonna mix up that morning routine.
yes, and and when you got the dog, and now you got to take the dog, so when you have your own systems and processes right now as an individual business owner, and writing them out is going to be helpful for you to figure out how those need to change when you bring someone on. And there's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah,
There's going to need to be training, but there is a good possibility that that routine, those habits, and that system is going to have to adapt to more than one person.
yeah, and be willing to, like, adapt and experiment and, like, scrap it all together. I mean, we
And there's
did
still
have
going to be
to.
things that you got to keep for yourself because you
Right,
are the business owner. You're never going to be completely um, you're never going to be able to completely not touch something.
right. There's some things that I'll never be able to hand off, like, that I
And
just feel like I need to do.
that's just part of the deal.
Right. It's like,
But
that's
you
part of
can
being a
handle
business owner.
yes, that's part of the package.
Yeah,
But you can hand off a lot and take more of a CEO visionary scope of it the more time goes on. And as you continue to grow, if you get to the point where you need more than just me, um, you would, I would assume take on another VA. And then
right.
I'm able to take on more of that virtual office manager position than I am now in.
Yeah,
I'll be doing less of the doing. The VA does the doing, I do the managing, and you do more of the big scope, big picture.
yeah.
And so the more that you move into that, the more that, you can expand and do
That's
all
the
that fun
dream.
jazz. And
Yes.
you just design your heart away.
Yeah. That's the dream.
The dream. Though, some people just aren't ready to bring on help financially. They
Right.
are still small, and that is okay. Um, and it is more important at that point to know your limits and your boundaries and to stick to them, um, because more money isn't worth your sanity
Yeah.
and your health. And so if you're at a place where you're trying to grow and you feel like you need help but you can't afford it, then it's time to cut back. Even
Yeah.
if you got to check and make sure you're pricing yourself fairly. Yes, you want to be fair to clients, but you want to be competitive and charge enough to make ends meet. And but if it means cutting the amount of money that you're making in order for you to keep your health and your mental health in check, then that's something that is
Right.
I think really important. It's what I did when I started my business. Because I started my business with a 1.5-year-old and a newborn. Actually, I started it before my, while I was still pregnant with my second child. And I knew there was only so much that I could take on. And I've been able to take on more and more as they've gotten older. They're now 3 and a year and a half. And you can increase over time. But I think it's really important to recognize that if you're not ready to bring on help.
Yeah. And I love that advice because that's often the thing. It's like you're at this kind of breaking point of,
Mhm,
do I hire on? Do I cut back? Like I went through that
mhm,
process too of like, what is the right next step for me? And it oftentimes can feel like there's no one to walk me through this or help me with this. And you're on this desert island of entrepreneurship, but that's simply not true. I reached out to literally everyone that I knew that had a VA, all the Facebook groups I was in, all the mentors, and I had so much support around making this decision. But I was, for so long, had been stuck in the mindset of, this won't be a blessing in my life to have one more thing on my plate. And having a team member, I just felt as this burden of
mhm.
having to be responsible for one more thing. And it has been literally the complete opposite. I have support in my business. I have someone I can bounce ideas off of on the daily. It has been amazing to have like that other talent in my business. Like I am not just a designer now. I feel like I have someone who has this whole other set of skills that has come in and take the pressure off of me. And now, like when I was thinking about this before this chat, I was like, I just feel like more at ease because I have that support. And when things go wrong in the business, I'm thinking of my business more as a business than my personal baby, I guess.
Yeah,
And it feels like when things go wrong, it's not as much about me. It's a business because
yeah.
I have multiple people working in it. I
Mhm.
have contractors that I'm working with. And so it's been a complete game changer in that way too. And so when people get so hung up on that choice, I think that you're only looking at the negatives versus like what this could open up for you in your life and how it could be like a blessing to someone else and give you the flexibility to work from home with your kids and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about segueing here into the actual project management systems that we use internally. The CRM we use is HoneyBook. Brooke takes Asana, and I'm not even going to pretend to talk about these things because this is not my area. But we also use Dropbox for file management. So why don't you touch a little bit on like how you go about taking, let's use the semi-customs as an example, because that's something we really created from scratch together.
Mhm.
But you did all of that. So
Yes. Well, first of all, I knew how much of a visual person you were. And
yeah,
so, and I am too in many ways. And that's why I like Asana. But Asana can be a bit of a challenge at times, especially when you're
yeah.
a very visual person. I have tried over and over again to get you to look at the board view, and you don't.
No, I will not. I will not do that to change my life.
So I knew I needed to kind of visually create something that could help
Yeah.
see it, even though I knew it. I knew what you were talking about. I actually legit took a piece of paper and a pen and I drew it out on a piece of paper. I was like, how can I said, Katie would love this. How can I get this like into pretty like online digital form? And I found a template. I think it was like a business hierarchy template on Canva that had like, CEO, and then this person is like manager, this person it was the format that I wanted. And so I grabbed that and rearranged it and dropped in all of the tasks that you had listed as you needing to keep on your end, and then you wanting to hand off, and adapted that to your full-on branding clients as well as the semi-custom clients.
Yes.
And it really helped lay it out in a way, I think, for both of us, not just you, to really visualize how well that it would work out, and it's been working out really well ever since.
Amazing. It has saved me hours upon hours per week. And actually, we are going to put one of these system workflows in the blog post that you can opt in for and then fill in your own workflow. I think that's the plan. So another thing that we did together is we tackled templates in HoneyBook. And HoneyBook was something I was like really dragging my feet on. Like I had the software, it wasn't really set up, but I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and show you what this looks like.
It's still a learning curve for both of us, because
Really
I
is.
I hadn't.
And I am over a year into this at this point. Okay, so here is what our templates look like in the back end of HoneyBook. Look at all these email templates. So I try not to ever write the same email twice without putting it in a template here, or having Brooke just get a template going. So everything for semi-custom is in here. So I was just sending over a direction board to a client yesterday, and all I have to do is click the template and fill in my links to their direction board and whatever video walkthrough that they're getting. So at this point, our processes for the branding clients, the different kind of branding clients we have, are really seamless. We also have our contracts back here, proposal templates. I don't really use that much. All of our questionnaires, depending on what kind of client it is, semi-custom, branding websites. And I feel like the emails is what we use the most.
We really have 38?
Yes, there's a lot in here. Some of them are default ones that HoneyBook starts you out with, but most of them are our own. So when we get an inquiry, this is the inquiry responder that goes out. It used to be on autoresponder. We changed that, tweaked that, because people weren't liking it. And so it really is this like experiment of what works for you and what doesn't. And you have to be able to learn and adapt to that. I also have like all of my clients listed out in here, every inquiry I've ever gotten. So if we wanted to do a marketing push, for example, we have like an end of the year brand needs in here, we would just do a batch email and shoot that out to all of our clients. So this has been a total game changer for the way that I run my business, and I'm just scratching the surface on this. We'll go into more depth in the blog post, but it has all of our timeline templates in there, and Brooke can just hop in and customize those, and it just makes life a lot easier. Some of the things that you recently took off my plate was onboarding and offboarding. This was a decision that I felt like I was really spending a lot of my time doing. It was a big decision for me because it meant introducing you to my clients, putting you on their communication, which we touched on a little bit, you know, just letting more of that control go. And it ultimately has been a huge blessing. So let's talk about what those processes look like, how you ended up getting me out of the workflow as much as possible, which I love. And just, can you touch on what a seamless onboarding and offboarding process looks like and how you went about creating those?
What really helped is the templates, as you just shared with on there. The email
Yes.
templates has really helped. We do a lot of communication through Voxer. You let me know when someone, you know, sends an inquiry. Now you've actually invited me as a team member to HoneyBook, which we were like
Yes.
learning was possible. So I get email updates in my inbox. If it's, you know, if it's someone that Katie already has a personal relationship with, then, you know, I will actually drop an email in the notes for her to go in and further edit, because even though I've adapted Katie's voice pretty well, we've worked together
You
for a
really
year
have.
now, there's still, you know, she still knows them more personally than I do. So there is still some touch point for Katie for you to go in there and edit stuff. But for the most part, it saves you having to go in and write the whole thing.
Yes.
Or, you know,
Which I was actually doing.
Right. So now we have the templates. We know, I know the what needs to be done, and you know, there's a lot of communication verbally through Voxer. So it's not like it's completely off of your mind. We still are in contact daily.
Right.
And so that has really helped a lot, I think, for both of us.
Oh, for sure. And I think so. One of the things that's most important to me in my business is client care and touch points. So I never want a client wondering where we're at, what I need from them to move forward, where their design work is. It's so important to me to meet my deadlines for every single project that I'm on and be in communication all the time with my retainer clients. So I've kept client communication completely on my plate for my retainers, who are some of the clients that I work with on a regular basis, sometimes daily basis. And so Brooke's really doing the client communication with the one-on-one clients, answering any inquiry that comes in, just making sure that we're on top of those emails so that people know that we're legit business that cares about them. Because something that's different about my design business is I try and really foster relationships so that we're working with the clients long term instead of just doing one project and then offboarding them and never chatting with them ever again. And so that takes a certain level of care in the client experience. And so one thing that Brooke has done is make sure that every client is getting that level of care, no matter what size the project is. And so I remember you doing the offboarding and making sure that I am like doing the follow up on the offboarding, which is where I start falling off my process. And I love the amount of like following up with me that you do to keep me accountable. So let's chat about offboarding, the importance of offboarding, and how this can like change the relationship with your client, basically.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important to make them feel valued in the offboarding process.
Yeah.
It's not just okay, bye.
Right. Your
Nice.
project's done. We're done. Bye. That is not how we want to do it here.
Right. Making them realize, and it's not just making them think that, like,
Right.
it really is, you really enjoy working with these people.
Yeah.
When bringing someone on, like, I care about you. I care about Katie.
Yeah.
And I want her and her clients to feel good about the process.
Right.
And that includes wrapping it up with a pretty bow and making them feel valued, because they are, and that they can come back at any time.
And that we're here to genuinely serve them and help them with their pain points. I think a lot of the times, like, you can maybe start as a graphic designer, but once you move towards brand designer, you're really their point of contact to help them work through any sort of question or issue or whatever they have in the branding process. And that goes all the way to like the blog post reveal for us, or like the client gifting. We want to bring that to the last, like, cross the T's and dot our I's, basically, to make sure that these clients that are investing their hard-earned entrepreneurial money, which we all know we work very hard for, that they know that it's going to people that really are invested in their brand and their success long term. So I love how we've completely transformed that part of my business, and how invested you are in my clients as well, or like the process, but also you just get it done a lot faster than I do, because I've realized that my feelings, like I personally know these people, like I've met their children, I'm personally invested. And so I just end up spending and overthinking and spending my time on things that I probably shouldn't. And so that's where I've seen a huge difference for my time as well.
Yes, it's very easy to become, and you talked about this earlier, your business feels more like a business.
Yes.
A little less is personal. You can be personal and with your clients, but to a certain point, it still needs to be functioned and run like a business. And having someone in your business to make it run that way can help you get there. So you can keep on being personal.
Yeah.
And all the fun stuff, and then I can come in and lay down the law.
Get stuff done. So tell people where they can find you because you have such exciting things coming down the pipeline. Brooke just walked through the semi-custom brand experience and she has amazing things planned, but I'm not going to spill the beans here because I think this will go live before that does.
Well, I'm gonna try to finish my website by the time this goes live, so at least
Okay.
they can go and see it. But I've recently, well, I don't want to say recently because I've been working as a virtual office manager for a while now, and providing those management and those management services. And so but I am now like officially reflecting that in my business and on my website. And so Katie designed an amazing semi-custom brand for me. And I really focus on providing the virtual office management and systems, and as well as still design for entrepreneurs in Staub Virtual Solutions. And then I'm also opening a online fine art and design studio, which is coming
Yay!
soon. Yes.
So excited for you. There's just so much goodness happening over on
Yeah.
your corner of the internet. So if someone wants to follow along, what's your handle?
Staub Virtual Solutions. And then I'm starting another Instagram account for the studio. I believe it's, I'm trying to remember, SVS_reflections_studio.
Amazing. Okay, we'll put all that in the blog post. Brooke is a really talented artist, and she is going to have some really accessible ways to help business owners and entrepreneurs. So definitely check out everything that she is doing. Thank you so much, Brooke. This is going to be so helpful for a lot of people. I so appreciate it.